How do I structure my podcast so that it grows my business? That is the question that we're going to be answering in today's podcast episode. If you're somebody who is wanting to be really intentional with your podcast, use it to grow your business and to sell your offers, you need to tune in.
What's up? I'm Angie, and you are listening to Podcast That Pays, the podcast for online business owners who want to grow their business and sell their offers using podcasting. If you like no fluff, tell it like it is advice from a marketing-loving podcast agency owner, you are in the right place. So glad you're here. Let's dive in.
All right, welcome back to Podcast That Pays. I'm your host, Angie. And in this episode, I had someone on social media write to me and ask me, hey, Angie, I've been consuming your content for a while. I really want to be intentional about the way that I start and grow my podcast. I'm only interested in doing podcasting to help grow my business. I want to be the most strategic so that I'm not wasting time or wasting money throwing it into this project and not getting anything in return. Can you tell me the best way to structure my podcast in order for it to help grow my business? Okay, I love this question. So I am literally going to give you the formula, the things that are required if you want to set your podcast up from the very beginning to help you make it something that helps your business to grow and not just a podcast that stands alone on its own. Okay. So let's talk about a couple of the principles. So the number one thing, you'll hear me talk about it a million times, is positioning. What is the one problem that you are solving? What is the most creative angle that you can take when it comes to this podcast and even your business right now? Like even how we're growing your business, right? So I want you to think about this because, you don't need to change your entire business, but there could be one specific area of your business right now or one specific offer that you really want to grow. And let's just hone in on that. So the smaller that we can hone in on, the smaller segment that you can be focused on, the better this is going to be for the growth of your podcast and your business at the same time, because you have to grab attention in your podcast, and in order for it to do anything for your business, and in order for us to grab attention of the right people, we need to be as narrowed down as we can be. We need to be as narrow in a niche as we can be. And that is just the truth. And you can fight with your mama, whatever, fight amongst yourself, whatever. But this is the truth. And this is what I have found from working with hundreds of people. Okay? Hundreds of people. So you need to, number one, figure out what is that one problem that you're solving. That's going to be key. The next thing you're going to have to do is work on your actual episode, like your content, your episode structure, and what your content is going to be about. You need to take that narrowed down thing and make all of your content focused on that. So all of your content should be helping with that one problem that you're solving. That's what your content should be doing. Within your episode, you need to learn how to structure podcast episodes in a way that is going to keep people engaged and have people listening. So the best way to structure a podcast episode, or things that you need to do, that'll help you grow your business, are present the problem, tell the people why they are feeling that way, validate the problem, explain to them that you understand what's going on. How is this working? Why is this a problem for them? Why are they even thinking this? Okay. Problem, validate it. Tell them why they think this. Okay. 3, shift the belief through telling story about said problem. Someone you know, a client, yourself, how you had this problem. What's the story that we can kind of sink our teeth into that shows that I'm wrong about, that the people who are listening to this are wrong about why they're thinking this, right? It's so important to tell a story versus just telling them you're wrong. This is not how you should think about it. You should think about it my way. You have to show them through story. So we got a problem, we got compassion and validation. Hey, this is why. Let me explain to you why you believe this, why you feel like this. Cool. here's your story. Let me show you someone who changed their belief about this and what happened and how things changed for them once they changed their belief, that same belief that you're holding. Wrap that up with a clear takeaway. Here's the takeaway. Here is what I think. Here is what I sell. Here is why I believe this. Here's why I'm amazing. And then you're going to be talking about, in that clear takeaway, you're talking about your program. You're talking about how you helped this person, why this is your philosophy, right? You're gassing yourself up. You're literally like doing a testimonial for your own work. And then you're going to have a CTA. So those are the elements that every podcast episode should have. You should be telling story. You should have clear CTAs. So you should have a clear commercial. You should be seating yourself throughout and talking about your program, talking about your clients throughout. You should be storytelling. You should be shifting beliefs, and you should be validating beliefs so that people feel like you understand where they are at. Okay, so that is how you structure an episode. What's up if you're listening to this episode and you're ready to take the next step in creating a podcast that feels really good and also makes you some money too? I want you to head on over to podcastthatpays.com and join my school community. There is a free 7-day podcast accelerator where you can get clarity and momentum for your podcast. So that's podcastthatpays.com. I can't wait to see you over in the community. And then the other part about how you're going to structure your podcast is you need to understand the offer that you are showing people and isn't in alignment with your content and what you're selling and leading people through your podcast funnel to get to. So meaning, does it make sense? Does this customer journey make sense? Does it make sense for someone to come and listen to you talk about really deep, hard, intricate things and then move over to a free guide? Or does it make sense for you to talk about really deep things and then go ahead straight into the offer? I don't know what's going to be right for you, but I want you to think about that journey. How deep are you going in your podcast? What kind of thing is it that you're selling? What kind of business are you having? What kind of business do you have? What kind of trust needs to be built between you and the person that's listening, and understanding that if we just sat here and listened to your whole podcast, we don't need more little tiny warming up things. We need access to you for the most part is what we're going to need. So making sure that that all aligns is a part of how you're going to structure your podcast so that it is helping you to grow your business. So let's recap here. You have to get your positioning right. You have to structure your podcast episodes correctly. You have to have the right offer. Your offer has to be aligned here. And then you have to have a really good plan for how you're going to launch your podcast in order to generate buzz. And then what is your plan for how you're going to share your podcast in order to get people to your podcast and for it to work in your marketing system? I want to talk a little bit more about that part. So you can go and find episodes where I talk strictly about launching. I want you to know that the launch is really important, and I want you to take time and pay attention to the launch. Go back and find episodes. Maybe I'll find it and drop it in the show notes, other episodes that speak specifically about the launch. But for these purposes, I'm just going to talk about it. I'm just going to tell you, you need that piece. And then let's talk a little deeper about the marketing system that you create. So and I want to talk about that because it's like a twofold thing. It's like, yeah, in this marketing system, what we're doing is we're getting more attention on your podcast, but more importantly, we're bringing attention to your business. And we're also making your content marketing easier. So we're taking some of that heavy lift off. And when it comes to being able to grow and scale your business, this is actually going to be a really important piece. So what do I mean by making this a part of your marketing system? Well, it needs to serve two purposes. It needs to be where we're serving the purpose that people can come and listen to our podcast, find out about what we offer, and, they can come through and it'll help us grow our business. We want to sell our offers from it, but it also needs to serve the purpose of doing the heavy lifting of marketing in your business. And that alone will help to grow your business without you having to do more shit. And that is important, right? So you're going to want to, every single podcast episode that you create, you're creating it in a little ecosystem. You start with your podcast episode, that turns into a blog post, that turns into 3 ideas for reels, that turns into 10 TikToks, that turns into a carousel post, whatever that is. What you create from that is going to be what your marketing system is. Your entire content marketing system can and should, when you have a podcast, come from your podcast. And this is probably one of the most important ways to structure your podcast in order for it to give you return on investment in your business, because you're going to get the quickest return with this, because even if someone doesn't buy anything, it's still saving you time and energy and effort, which is important in business. So this is why I talk a little bit more about this piece, because you really need to do that. Now, does everyone's marketing system look the same? No. Can you just say, you know what? I don't have a website. I don't want to create a blog. Sure. Can you say, well, I don't use Reels? Sure. Can you, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you use LinkedIn, if you use TikTok, if you use Facebook, if you're in a Facebook group, whatever it is, you have to figure out how to make this the core and make everything else work around it. It's going to make your content marketing so much easier, and it's going to make your podcast feel so much more valuable, because it is going to be more valuable. And it's also going to show you how your podcast is actually working with your business to support your business. So if you want to structure your podcast in a way that's going to help you grow your business, you have to overall, the overall what you need to do here is you need to position it well for the things that you're selling, create your content around that, talk about it in the episodes, make sure that your episodes are created well, make sure that you have an aligned offer, and then turn this thing into the core of your marketing system. That's my answer. That is my answer. Because all of those things combined are the things that are necessary with your podcast if you want it to help your business grow. If you want it to not feel like this extra chore that's happening in your business, if you want to actually get ROI from your podcast, these are the things that you need to do. If you need those things broken down more, these are things I share over in my school community. You can head on over there. The link is in the show notes. You can head on over there, sign up, 7-day free trial, and you can go through some of these trainings. I have a whole video that's all about marketing, how to turn your podcast into a marketing system. So anyway, thank you for being here. And if you ask me questions in school or DM me on my TikTok mainly, which is at Podcast Launch Bestie, I will come and answer your question via podcast episode. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Hey, if you enjoyed the show, head over to podcastthatpays.com to get started on your way to creating a podcast that pays. And don't forget to follow this show and take a screenshot that you were listening and tag me on Instagram at Angie M. Jordan. I'd love to meet you and show you some love over there. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. Let's get this money.